Greetings, Internet. Hello. I would like to apologize for missing Sunday service. This past Sunday was a Canadian Thanksgiving vibe this past weekend, so things were a little bit busy up in here. But anyway, hello. I hope everyone is doing amazing. And I just wanted to pop on here for a little bit to talk about my brand new book. Awa says hello. She's been sleeping all day, so I have no idea where she just was. But of course, whenever I am doing a live stream or whatever, hello. She's dead quiet until it's time for me to talk. So hopefully she'll come up and say hello. And so this is my book number 5. I am super, super excited about it. I can't believe I have 5 books out. Awas, come here, honey. Come on. I'm going to try to do this with like one hand while the cat hopefully relaxes. And I just realized this is my apron for cooking that I didn't put away yet, as I cooked up a storm over the past 24 hours. And so this also accurately shows the cooking extravaganza that always is happening in my apartment. And so I'll do the best I can with one arm, since she seems to really want me to hold her in place right now. She's purring like crazy. So I'm going to try to talk about this book while holding the cat. We will see how that goes. But I'm really, really excited to release this book. I just released it a few days ago. It was really important to me to get this out in time for Samhain, aka Halloween. And this is my first book of rituals. So I'm sure y'all probably know all my books by now. Maybe I should just grab them to show everyone really quickly. I also have my second book here. So let me just grab my other ones really quick, just so that you guys know what all the books are. And then we will get into it. So, all right. I actually have no idea where copies of my poetry book are. It should be here somewhere, but I don't see it. 1 minute, you guys. All right, I got it. So we'll do a little show and tell with all the books, and then I'll talk about my new one. It's kind of crazy to see them all in one place. Like, damn, I've actually written some books. I sometimes forget, and it feels like I'm not doing anything. But it turns out I've written things, you guys. So let's just do like one by one, so you guys can kind of see what's going on. So, all right. So this is my first book, Witch Body. Over here, you'll see the original self-published edition, which this is from so long ago. Let me see if I can even figure out the date. I just have a few of them lying around. I don't think this even has a date in it, actually. Oh, summer 2018. So that's how old this self-published edition is, because it got picked up by Wiser Books in 2019. And so this is the one that you guys will be able to get at bookstores. This is my only book that is still traditionally published, and it is a graphic novel about witchcraft and magic, especially in the city and an urban environment, and how to connect with spirituality and magic in the city. This is probably my most popular book. It's like the kind of classic one that put me on the map a little bit. My second book, this was actually originally assigned to Penguin. Yes, the famous Penguin. But I decided to buy my rights back and release it myself. So this is a witchy kind of 101. A lot of people call it a witchy 201. For me, this is kind of a basic non-denominational like introduction to magic and energy work techniques, and why everything functions, and how to work with all of that stuff, regardless of what your belief system is, regardless of if you are Christian or Buddhist or atheist or whatever. And this is my first prose book. about witchcraft and magic and techniques and everything. So you can see a little example here. And this is a really, really good companion to my new book, which I will talk about in just a second. You can tell the design is kind of similar. And then really, really quick, my third book is a poetry book called Rapeseed. It's about surviving sexual assault and sexual violence and working with magic in order to do that. Pretty dark, but also I think really important. And all right, let's see. I'm trying to do this like in order. And then number 4, this just came out a few months ago. Body Magic. This is the version you'll get on Amazon. And then this is the kind of DIY risograph version for anyone who is a book collector nerd type of person. And just really quickly, this book is about witchcraft and trauma and healing. It's a little bit memoir, a little bit manifesto. And I feel really proud of this book. It's like pretty cool. And so anyway, then we've got my brand new book, which has been written for a few years now, but I really wanted to wait until Body Magic was out in order to release this. Like for some reason, I just felt like the important order to do this in. I don't really know why. I just wanted to get that out of my system. And so this is my first book of rituals. It's called A Witch at Home, 18 Rituals for Life, Love, and Healing. And it looks like this. And then this is the back cover. And the back cover, I'll just read it to you guys. It says, A Witch at Home, 18 Rituals for Life, Love, and Healing will show you how magical and full of wonder your home and daily routines can be. Rituals are organized by rooms and areas in the home, from skincare as magic, grounding smoothies, tea, journaling, energy walks, and bedroom magic to shoes as talismans. This book will reveal the magic in your mundane. And this is the book. It's been really nice to get a bunch of orders. I think it's number 10 in Canada right now. At least it was last time I looked in the witchy section. So I'll just try to do a little bit of a walkthrough. And I wanted to show you guys, published for Samhain Halloween 2025. Table of contents. So as you can see, I've organized the rituals, and there's 18 of them based on like different parts of the home. So obviously like the going out section is not really technically a part of the home, but I kind of think of it as like the foyer, like the kind of gateway point between your home and the outside. And so that's what that section is about. And we'll go through those rituals in just a second. And next up is the office section, especially since a lot of people are working from home these days since the pandemic. And so I want to make sure there was some kind of like workspace section. So I guess I'll just read these so you guys can kind of see. So introduction, obviously, rituals, 18 different rituals, the going out section. So each section has 3 different rituals. So starting off with shoes as talismans, then a shielding ritual, which is called breezy protection, easy shielding visualization ritual. And then neighborhood energy walk. And I love talking about energy walks. Anyone who knows like my courses and my teaching will know what an energy walk is. So next up, we've got office, which is just basically workspace. So manifesting future success, vision board ritual, building confidence, a ritual to affirm self-worth, shifting consciousness, a ritual for getting into the flow, because like getting into the zone and the flow is, I think, a really important aspect of like any kind of work, and like really being able to get in the vibe and like do what you need to do. So here's the rest of the table of contents. Oh, you just ordered it. AO, thank you. And excited to read it. I hope you like it. It's my first time doing like actual rituals. And I know everyone has always asked me to do actual rituals. And I've always been so resistant to it. I'm like, no, like write your own rituals. But no one likes when I say that. And I think it is, Ayohas, come on, honey. It is, I think, important to know how to write your own rituals. But like, I understand why people would also really like to see like someone else's rituals exactly written out step by step. So I kind of get it. So I decided to just give in and just do it. So of course, then we have kitchen. Fruit as magic, a sweet love spell. So this one is very simple. It's like eating fruit. Cooking, witchery, grounding your spirit through food. And that's a very simple smoothie recipe, actually. And then pantry audit, one of my favorites, releasing what no longer serves you. A lot of people don't realize that like cleaning and getting rid of like old gunk that is just chilling in our cabinet for no reason. Like that's also like kind of magical thing to be doing, because magic is so often about like release and then summoning things towards us. And anyway, next up we have living room, daily prayer practice, renewing gratitude. The next one is cultivating inspiration, home as altar, and then journaling ritual, writing away the day. And then bathroom, the magic of skincare. That's probably one of my favorite ones, the skin deep intention spell. People probably don't realize like something as simple as skincare and like what products you're using on your skin, it can be very magical, because a lot of these have like plants and botanicals, and all of those different botanicals and plants are going to have magical properties. And so if we're going to be slathering this stuff on our skin all the time anyway, why not choose the ones that also support our magical goals? And Ao, I'm glad that you love fruit. That's awesome. Same. Anyway, after the skincare ritual, it says cleansing shower ritual, rinsing off bad vibes, very important, and then soaking in calm, a grounding magical bath. And of course, the bedroom section. Oh my God. So this is a little bit spicy. The first one is not spicy though. Getting cozy, a ritual to create calming space. Next up, this is a spicy one. Pleasure and intimacy, sexy magic, solo or partnered. So the way I wrote this one, it's like you can kind of incorporate the way I've written it, whether you're just a solo single person doing your sexy thing by yourself or whether you're with a partner. And I know that not everyone is going to have a partner who's like down for that, even if you do have a partner. So I also have suggestions on how to talk to someone who is like not magical about that. And then the last one, sacred sleep magic, tea time spells. So I love that. Tea has always been like a main way that I've incorporated herbal properties and herbal magic into my life, both in terms of like health and healing properties. Like I used to have a lot of stomach issues, so like mint tea was always like my favorite go-to. But there's also other properties, right, that all these herbs have. Like there's going to be the medicinal property, and there's also going to be the magical spiritual properties too. So just a lot of different ways to kind of incorporate these things into our practice and our daily life. And one of my main points with writing this book was a lot of people have this kind of misconception that magic needs to be like, all right, we need to buy 20 candles. We need to like chant 5,000 words that we don't understand from some foreign language. And we need to like have a cloak, and we need to be like, doing whatever. And it's like, that's totally cool if that's your practice. I think that's great. But like all this stuff in this book is like normal stuff. This is just like normal life stuff that I think a lot of people don't think about as magical. But in my opinion, it is magical, and it's some of the most magical stuff that we can be doing. Don't get me wrong. Like I love ritual. Like I love like, standing in front of the altar and like doing my thing. Totally. That's a big part of my practice. But at the same time, this kind of magic in the mundane stuff, I think, is so important. And it's also a really amazing entryway point for a lot of people who are exhausted. Maybe you have kids, maybe you got a lot of jobs, maybe you just got a lot going on, maybe you have no budget to buy 20,000 candles, like fair enough. And so I think a lot of people get really discouraged with witchcraft, they get really discouraged with magic. And part of my point with this book is to show people magic is more accessible than you think. Magic is all around you. Magic is probably a part of your daily life as it is. At least it could be. Maybe you just don't realize it. Like all the stuff in this book is something that we do all the time. It's like eating, clearing out the cabinets, taking a shower, putting on moisturizer, like drinking some tea before bed, like doing some kind of sexy vibes, like putting on our shoes. Like all of this stuff is very magic in the mundane. And I want to really show people how to incorporate magic and intention setting with all of these very basic practices that we all do all the time. And so like, I hate when people, well, I don't hate, that's a strong word, but whenever people's magic is just, a weekend thing that they do because they think it has to be this like pomp and circumstance thing, it kind of breaks my heart a bit, because with that, a lot of people step away from the practice. They're like, oh, maybe magic is not for me. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. Like I don't have the whatever. And they don't realize that they're probably already doing a lot of tasks and behaviors and habits that we could always layer magic onto if we just work with intention. So yeah, here's the introduction. Maybe I'll just read it. So, introduction, story time with Sabrina. Introduction. Magic doesn't have to be complicated. Magic doesn't have to involve going out to the woo-woo store and buying 50 candles, a magic wand with a dragon on it, and a handful of herbs you've never heard of. Magic can happen right here, right now, whenever you want, exactly where you are. You don't have to go anywhere special to be able to tap into your own magic, and buying more stuff isn't the only way to unlock your magical potential. You don't need to memorize weird rhymes that don't feel relevant. Your magic can come from deep inside you. Thank you, Awaz. However you feel, whatever you're wearing, wherever you are absolutely enough to practice magic just as you are. You're enough just as you are. I promise you, you can access magic right now, today, just as you are. In this book, I'll show you simple ways to incorporate the power and peace of magic into daily or weekly routines you likely already have. All of us have to wear shoes when we leave the house. And most of us enjoy some kind of beverage in the morning, whether it's tea, coffee, a smoothie, or some ice-cold water. The rituals in this book are organized by room and location and include things you've likely done tons of times without realizing it could be a magical ritual, like cleaning out your pantry, nibbling on delicious fresh fruit, or going for a walk around your neighborhood. Other rituals might be new to you, like visualizing protection before you leave your home or creating a vision board. I'd encourage you to try any unfamiliar practices on for size and see how they feel. You don't need to buy anything new for any of these rituals unless you absolutely want to. Feel free to adapt what you already have at home to suit the intentions, instructions, and inspirations I outlined for you in this book. Or if you're like me, Virgo rising, hello, and find pleasure and fun in the tactility of making lists, planning, shopping, and sourcing new to you materials for a particular magical working, go for it. Are you ready for some magic? Let's get started. That's the introduction. And I feel really good about that. So here we go, rituals. I'm not going to read the whole book to y'all, obviously, but I did just want to kind of show you guys what you can expect if you do decide to pick it up. So this is actually, these are like the shoes I wear almost every day. These are like some kind of Nikes. I don't know exactly, Air Force or something. I don't know. But I do see shoes as talismans, and this ritual kind of explains how to do that. And so every section and every ritual in the book, it kind of takes this structure. It's like, how does this work? Why this? Finding your intention, what you'll need, and then what to do. So every single ritual in this book follows this structure of your intention, what you need, how to do it, etc. And then this is another pair of shoes. I pretty much have this exact same pair of shoes too. And so next up, Stig, you're asking, how can you become a witch? Buy this book, my friend, and then maybe you will have the answer. This one, and then also this one. This one is like more techniques, more how-to, and then this is much more like, this is what to do. Here's some different things to try. And so next up, the shielding visualization. And shielding, I think, is really important. I think a lot of people neglect their shielding practice. And again, you can kind of see the structure here. How does it work? What to do? What do you need? Etc. Energy walk, a little flip-flop. What is it? Etc. What you'll need, what to do. And one of the feedbacks I got from this book, this one, was that the text was too small, as you can see. And so I made the text bigger in this one. I don't know if you guys can see, but I used a bigger font in the new book because now that I'm looking at it, I guess it is kind of small. I'm not going to redesign it. You know, it is what it is. But it is a little small. That's true. So I take that feedback, and now I made the text bigger. And so I think this size is good. So I appreciate everyone's feedback. So next up, office section. Vision board ritual. I know a lot of people don't like vision boards, but honestly, I think they can be really powerful just as a way to get in touch with your own intention. And I think seeing something it reorganizes our consciousness in a different way than just like thinking And so it will help us really visualize what we want. So finding your intention. I tried to make a lot of cute little illustrations for this book too. So here you see some magazines, glue sticks, some tape. What to do. And I also, numbered everything too. Ritual to affirm self-worth. So this is about affirmations, which I think is really important. I know some people are against that, but it's like affirmations are important. Okay, next one for this section is shifting consciousness, a ritual for getting into flow. So I think flow state is really important. I think all witches should know how to do this. It's basically shifting, like having control over your shifting of consciousness. Like, can you go from what's called by some scholars like ordinary reality and then instantly kind of like, there we go. Can I snap today? Like kind of snap yourself into a non-ordinary reality or an altered state of consciousness where you're in this kind of like ritualized flow, like where you're kind of in the zone. And so like athletes talk about this, artists talk about this, and I think it's also really relevant for any kind of workflow, and then also getting into the flow spiritually as well. And so regardless of if you're using these techniques to get into a flow state for your work, for your spirituality, through your creative practice, whatever, like it's really important. And so in this, I'll talk about how to get into a flow state and how to do that and why to do that. I think it's crucial. It's been responsible for a lot of my productivity in my life, is being able to get into that flow state kind of whenever I want to. So yeah, here's this. Let me just kind of go forward a bit. So, and then kitchen section. I love all these ones. I got to draw a lot of plants, which I think is really fun. So fruit magic, here's some figs, which are one of my favorite things to eat. Kind of expensive, but. So why love and fruit, why fruit magic, what you'll need. And I talk about some different fruits that you can work with and what they might symbolize. So I go over figs, apples, pomegranates, cherries, I think strawberries as well, and what the symbolism behind each of those is. And one of the things that I find annoying in a lot of witchy books is it just says like, you know, use this, use that, but they don't actually explain like what the properties of that thing is. They just kind of want you to trust them that you should be using like blah, blah, blah thing with like lemon balm and a purple candle, but it's like, why? And like, they don't ever explain it. And so in my books, it's like really important to me to explain like why we are working with all these different things. And so that's why I have these big paragraphs here explaining what symbolism is behind each of these fruits and why I would choose these ones. That is important to me because I don't want this to be something where you guys just regurgitate what I do without understanding why. Like that's pointless. So this one, it's more like smoothie witchery, I guess, but we'll call that cooking for now. So this is like a grounding smoothie ritual, including a recipe that I use all the time. Oh yeah, and this is, I think, important. A note for those with food stuff. So I know some people might have like eating issues or some kind of disordered eating or just like weirdness with food. And so I have a little section about that because I actually was anorexic when I was a little kid. And so I kind of remember what it's like to have weirdness with food. Obviously now I don't feel that way. Like I love food. It's like one of my most big joys of my life. I love cooking. I love eating. I'm probably the heaviest I've ever been, but I'm like in a good vibe with food. But I know that's not going to be the case for everybody. And so I have a little section that kind of talks about that if anyone is like triggered about food. So, okay, then I talk about what you'll need. So I have my recipe basically, and I explain the magical properties of why I'm choosing all these things for the smoothie ritual. As you can see, it's pretty long what all the symbolism is. This is basically my blender. And then what to do. Stig is asking, where have I learned all this? Are you a trained witch who learned it in school? I trained myself, my friend. I've been doing this for like 25 years. And so, like, most of what I know is from practicing for so long. And that is different because most people, this is going to sound mean, but most people who teach witchcraft and write witchy books, they don't actually teach from their experience most of the time. They're just teaching from like reading all the other witchy books. And so they're just copying, thank you, Awaz. They're just copying what all the other witchy books say. But when I'm writing, I'm talking from actually getting my hands messy and practicing and putting in the time in front of the altar and like doing the shit. And so whenever people ask me what are my sources, I'm like, I don't know, practicing for 25 years because I actually do the stuff. Like, there's a problem in the magical community where a lot of people are armchair magicians. And that just means they read a lot of books about magic, but they don't actually practice. It's very common in the community, unfortunately. Like, a lot of people like the idea of magic, but when it comes to actually blocking out 2 to 3 hours of your night to do some witchcraft, like, people won't do it. They would rather like read a book about witchcraft and then consider themselves a witch. And obviously I'm asking you guys to read this book about witchcraft. So I'm not saying that books are bad, but it's like, I actually want you guys to do this stuff. I want you to do the stuff. Don't just think about doing the stuff. Do the stuff. That's how you learn. Like, you only learn how energy actually functions by doing it, by engaging with it, by doing witchcraft, by doing magic. And a lot of people can explain how they think magic works, but they actually don't have the practical experience. It's like when people want to analyze art, but they don't know how to paint. They can explain how to paint, but do they know how to paint? Like, no. And so how did I learn how to paint? By painting. Same thing with this, same thing with this. I learned by doing it a lot. It's a good question though, Steak. Thank you, because I'm sure a lot of people are wondering that. So, pantry audit. Releasing that what no longer serves you. I think this is important. I do this really regularly. This is an important part of my practice, actually. So I think it's important that we have the self-worth to be like, yeah, we don't need to be consuming expired food. I think energetically there's maybe something weird about that. And so I know that's maybe a budget issue for some of us, but I think if that's the case, like, make sure you go through your pantry and put a giant sticky note on all of your stuff the month that it expires so that it can be front of mind and that you can make sure that you cook with it before it expires. So we don't want to be eating expired food. That's bad for our energy, in my opinion. Anyway, so here we go. Oh no, my computer is going to be out of batteries soon. I've got 10% left. Let's see if we can get this done in a few minutes. Either that or I will have to move forward and plug my computer in. So pantry triggers. This is another kind of thing I wanted to talk about because I know a lot of people can be triggered around like hoarding food or having enough or not having enough. Maybe you grew up with nothing in your cabinet, so now you're hoarding everything and you don't want to throw anything out. And so I also address this in the book because I'm sure that is going to be the case for some people. I think I used to hoard stuff a lot, like food and whatever, and it would just go bad. And I would just hoard it as a way to feel safe because I grew up without enough things. And so it's okay to let go. And so I want to acknowledge like that psychological aspect of this that's going to be present for some of us. This is my favorite olive oil. If you know, you know. Living room. Gratitude and prayer. I'm going to zoom through this section a little bit. And then home as altar. That's really important. I'm going to zoom through this section though too. Journaling. It's important. I think the spot illustrations on this are cute. Bathroom. These last two chapters are probably my favorite alongside the kitchen. These are actually products that I use personally. And so I'm not getting any kickback. Like, I'm not promoting any of this stuff. It's just I wanted to give concrete examples of like why. Why am I working with these products? I don't care what products you use, but it should be intentional. You should have a reason. What in the skincare is important for your magical practice? So let me just read one of these as example. So for instance, the ordinary 100% cold pressed organic rose hip seed oil. And I'm just going to read this. I don't use oil on my skin all the time, but when I do, this is my tried and true. Rose oil helps with hydration, skin tone, texture, and reducing signs of acne, scarring, or sun damage. I choose it because it's hydrating, moisturizes, and brightens my skin. Rose is a common magical collaborator of mine. For me, it represents both self-love and becoming magnetic to others. When I apply rose oil to my face before bed, after removing makeup and cleansing, my intention is often to increase beauty, self-love, self-appreciation, and to be as attractive, magnetic, and irresistible as a rose garden. Venusian femininity magic on tap. And so that's why I like using rose oil, but there's lots of other different products you can use. You don't have to use rose oil. But for me, I like working with dried roses in my witchcraft. And so I love roses in my home. And so I'm often working with rose as a plant ally type of thing. And so for me, it's all kind of intentional. There's some other products here. One of my moisturizers has black pine in it. Another peptide serum thing I have uses kale and all these other dandelion superfoods and everything. So here I explain, like, why did I choose that product? Like, what does it do for my skin? And then magically, what are those plants helping me with as well? And so I don't care what product you use, but the point of it, as I outline here, is to talk about, okay, what is our intention with what we're working with on our skin? What plants are in there? What is the magical properties of those plants, as well as the scientific skin care type of stuff with those plants? And I know it means that you have to do a little bit of homework, but I think it's worth doing because then everything that you're doing has intention. So cleansing shower ritual, rinsing off bad vibes. Let's see. I'm going to show you guys. There was. Hello. And then magical bath. I love taking baths. Again, the rose, often something I work with. Little candles. I'll show you guys illustrations. And then bedroom, last chapter. Calming space. Okay, so this is about shifting space. I have a whole chapter about this in Curse and Cure, this book. I have a whole chapter about how to shift space with various techniques. But here is in the bedroom, how to shift space. An example of how to do it. This is the actual room spray that I use. It is like a sandal with woods. I don't really know. Sandalwood and santal. Woodsy stuff in there. I think there's some cedar or something. I can't remember. But it all was chosen intentionally, like a woodsy grounding type of vibe. That was what I was going for with the energy. Woodsy kind of scent to be grounding for the bedroom. And then this is the more spicy section, whether you're single or partnered. And so sexual energy is really potent. And so I think it's an energy that we can easily work with in order to direct vibes towards our goals. And just like I put in the food section, here there's a section on single or solo or partnered, but then also blockages to accessing sexual energy, because I know that's going to be a problem for some people. They might have their triggers or stuff they've been through that makes that energy scary or uncomfortable. And so there is, like I said, a little section where I wrote about that and how to kind of work through that if you want to. You don't have to, obviously. So let's see. And just some options of what you might work with, what to do. And then, of course, last but not the least, sacred sleep magic, tea time spells. So I love tea. This is my actual tea kettle. It does look exactly like that. And how to work with something as simple as tea to switch up your to help manifest and to do witchcraft and magic in your life. Oh my God, my computer's at 3%. It's like dying really fast. And I give some examples of some of the tea that I actually do use and consume, and as well as what the properties are for each. The whole section is probably my favorite on the, I can't pronounce it, Rooibos de Provence. It's probably my favorite. It has rose and lavender. It's like a red tea from, I think, South Africa. No caffeine. And some other teas that work for me. What to do. And then this is the end. This conclusion. And then, of course, I have a section about all my other books, which you guys already saw. My cat is like, give me attention. All right, let's see. Maybe I can just plug my computer in I just want to talk for a few more minutes. I don't want to just like unplug and then boom, just leave you guys hanging. So let me just plug in my laptop and hopefully I'll just talk for a few more minutes. Let's see. Just gonna pull the computer back. You guys can see all of my plates. Laptop is definitely not keeping the charge as much as it used to. All right, let's scooch forward. There we go. Yeah, this is my new laptop, but it still doesn't quite keep the juice as much as it used to, which is a little bit frustrating. But that's okay. So anyway, there you have it with my apron for cooking. Yeah, so I feel really proud of this book. I hope that you guys will find it useful and interesting, and I hope it will open up new ways of looking at witchcraft and magic. It doesn't just have to be, it doesn't have to be all, chanting in front of the altar to a statue of whoever with like 20 different candles going. Like, it can be that. And I think that's valid as a practice. But that's not the only way to practice. Like, we can do like everything I've talked about in this book, like blessing our shoes as magical talismans before we leave the house and all of that stuff. So this cat is like, I'm technically allergic to cats, so I shouldn't really have her up by my face so close. I'm going to try to one arm her. Yeah, so part of my point with this book is to show that ritual can be so many different things, and that you guys are probably already doing a lot of magical ritual stuff, or at least stuff that could be magicified or ritualified or intentionified in your daily life. Oh, are you stuck? There we go. Because I think a lot of people just are either intimidated by magic, or they don't realize that they already have a lot of these practices that can be magical, that can be done with more intention and more magic and more excitement and more wonder. And I think part of this is about like really slowing down and romanticizing our own life and embracing like the simplicity and the beauty in mundane things. It's really important. Just gonna sip some water. And so in case you guys don't know, which I'm sure you guys already do know, this is available on Amazon. A Witch at Home, 18 Rituals for Life, Love, and Healing. And I'm really curious if you guys are going to like this, because if you do, then maybe I'll write more ritual books. Even something as simple as this, lemon water. It's like, what's the symbolism of lemons? Cleansing, detoxifying, and lemons are yellow. So that is a very solar plexus chakra, connecting with our will, connecting with our individuation. And so there's so many different opportunities to work with these different plants and to have more mundane magic in our life. Well, that's pretty much my speech, you guys. I don't know if anyone has any questions about the book or anything. Oh, JD asked her, hi, do I do magic for my cats or pets in general? Is that a thing? You know what I have done? Not in a long time. But you know what's interesting is I actually feel like my cats have done magic on me or with me. I find whenever I'm really in like a bad zone that they will be like up on my grill, like very in my face. And that I feel that I've experienced my cats doing like energy work on me to heal me, which is interesting. I know people might not believe me, but I've felt that multiple times throughout the course of having my cats. They all do it, but the two older ones definitely do it more than the younger one. But they all kind of do it. So I do notice them sometimes regulating my energy for me. Like if I'm really not in a good spot, which again doesn't happen very often. Like I'm pretty emotionally chill, like I'm pretty emotionally even. But I have noticed them helping out with the vibes, like usually sitting on my chest and doing energy work to kind of help cleanse me, which is interesting. It's not something I've talked a ton about, but it is something that I've definitely noticed. JD Astor says, I can totally resonate with that. My cats are like magnets when someone in the house is stressed. Absolutely. And I feel like cats are really amazing channels for energy. So it's happened multiple times. Like, so if I'm ever doing a reading for someone and they're talking about a really intense, kind of bad situation, my cats will often start fighting. And it happens pretty much every single time. And it actually happened once where the situation the person was talking about was so bad and they were having a reading at my home. This is like at my old place, when the cats actually, one of them threw up like right underneath the table that the reading was happening at. And that's the only time that's ever happened. But it's like, I really do think that cats are especially amazing, like conduits and channels of energy. Like they really pick up on what's going on. I had a breakup recently, and during that kind of last conversation, Awas actually on this exact couch was sitting on me, and I was picking her up to kind of put her on my ex. And she actually had a fucking meltdown because, in my opinion, his energy was so bad, like not in a malicious way, just like troubled, that she actually gave me like this crazy scar on my hand. And she like, yeah, my whole hand was like dripping with blood. She got me a bunch of different spots. And I've had her for like, I don't even know, 16 years. She's never done that. And so what I take from that is she like was not vibing with his energy. And so she did not want to sit on him at all. And she really liked him otherwise, but his energy that day was just not it. And so she did not want to be placed on him, to the extent that she gave me a massive, cut. And so I think they're really sensitive to energy. Like they really, really, really are. I should probably write about this at some point. AO says, I have a stray saved and he insists on sleeping on my pillow right over my head. Yeah. Yeah. My orange cat Sekhmet does that to me most nights. And I used to not be able to tolerate it, but now that I'm on more allergy meds, it's a lot easier because I somehow became allergic to cats in the last year, which is ridiculous, but true. Year and a half now, I guess. So yeah, now I kind of let them do that. But they always, all three cats on the bed, usually up by my upper body, usually. So yeah, they're really, really good at regulating energy. They're really good at picking up on energy. Sekhmet actually never liked my recent ex. I was afraid of him and would hiss at him, which is interesting. And again, it wasn't a bad person, just like I think, I don't know, unevolved in some ways. That sounds bitchy, but I think it's kind of true. So they're really, really good at noticing energy of people. And I think if you have a really solid bond with the cats, they will also help you regulate and kind of calm your energy. It's kind of co-nervous system regulation. I should probably write about a book about cats and magic and energy work at some point. I think that could actually be kind of interesting. I should start thinking about that. So I've actually not thought about writing about that, but I probably should because I think a lot of people would be interested. Because I think a lot of people have these experiences with cats in particular. And it's interesting how they really relate to your stress based on who you are, right? It's like when I'm stressed, my cats will kind of come to me and help me calm down. But with my ex, when he was stressed, the cat was like, get me the fuck away from that guy. Which is interesting. So it kind of depends on like what the relationship is, I think, to some extent. So that's interesting. But yeah, I don't talk about cats at all in this book. But you guys have got me thinking that I should probably think about that at some point to write about. Because it is, I think, a universal experience. To some extent, those of us with cats will be able to speak to it. They are very energetically sensitive, for sure. Yeah, it's important to pay attention to all that stuff. Does anyone have any other questions, thoughts, feelings while I'm here? We don't have to talk about this, but we could. Little mundane home rituals. I could also even put drinking lemon water in this book. Cleansing. And so we do all these different tasks, these different habits, and it's often so unintentional. But part of magic is connecting with intention, being aware of our intention, working with our intention, making choices based on our intention, and really seeing everything we're doing as spiritually meaningful, as energetically meaningful, as symbolic, as powerful, as an intentional action and behavior that can help us summon something in our life, release something in our life, attract something in our life. It's quite powerful and potent, and what you're not changing, you're choosing. Oh, AO is asking, do you have quick tips for stopping negative self-talk? So what's going on, AO? Like what is it in you that triggers the negative self-talk? Is it just like a constant monologue, or does it get triggered by like stuff that happens? Let me know, and then I will see if I can be of help. Just in general, your surroundings. So what would be the first negative self-talk that you would have in the morning? Sorry to put you on the spot. Because I find like I'm happy to give quick tips, but I don't know if it's always useful without really knowing exactly what's going on. You're fat, clothes don't fit. Okay, that's kind of the first negative self-talk. Okay. So what that would bring up for me is a few different things, right? So the first thing would be, is it in your budget to buy new clothes? Even if it's like not that expensive. So you have at least one outfit or two outfits that you really love. And you know what? I know to some extent what this is like. I did gain a ton of weight during the pandemic, actually. So I used to be like 120, and I think I got up to like 160 or something during the pandemic. And so what I actually did in that situation when stuff wasn't fitting, and now I feel like totally happy being heavier. I think it's great. So there's a few different things going on. So I'll just kind of babble a little bit about what I did in that situation. So I actually got rid of everything that didn't fit. Everything. And now that I've lost a little bit of weight again, so I think I'm 140 now. I was 170. Just from weightlifting, actually. I lost that weight in the last 6 months, which was kind of crazy. But I just got rid of everything that didn't fit. Everything. And if you don't want to get rid of it because you have like a weight loss goal, like I would at least like put it away in storage in like a box or something, so that clothing that is too small isn't around to like trigger you and to just like get you in this negative headspace. So the only clothing that I would keep in your closet if I was you would be only stuff that fits you right now as you are right now. And that might mean you have like 3 outfits, but that's what I would do to start. Because if you're surrounding yourself with, and you're like trying to put stuff on that like doesn't fit you right and it doesn't feel good, of course that's going to make you feel weird. Like I would feel weird too. So like really spend, like, how in this book I say pantry audit, like no, do a closet audit And like literally I threw away so much clothes. Now I'm kind of like, fuck, I should have kept some of that stuff because maybe I could fit into it now. But you know what? It's okay because it's a fresh start symbolically. It was like, okay, I got rid of all that stuff and I need to accept myself as I am now, you know, going from like 120 to 170 or whatever. And, you know, I had to get rid of all that stuff. I didn't have to. I chose to get rid of all that stuff so that I knew that everything I had left to wear, if I put it on, I would feel awesome. Or like I would at least feel like it fit. I would feel like it was good. And so the thing with clothing too is in my opinion, like our body is like never the wrong thing, right? The only question is, are you dressing for your body type? So this is maybe a silly example. But you know, at one point in my life, I went from being like a pear figure to like a more hourglass figure. And so how I had the clothing, how to dress myself totally changed like overnight. And all of the drapey stuff I used to wear when I was more of a pear shape, if I wore it, you know, after I got my boobs done, like 12 years ago, 13 years ago, I would look pregnant and I would look not great because I was not pregnant at the time. So I never have been pregnant. So I did not want to look pregnant. And so I had to completely change my entire wardrobe from wearing like drapey, flowy stuff to basically wearing stuff that was skin tight on the top and stretchy. So it would move with the curves of my body. So then my other question is like, okay, get rid of the stuff that doesn't fit you, or at least put in storage. And then it's like, are you wearing the right fabrics? Are you wearing the right size? Like if you are curvy, are you wearing stuff that suits your curves? Or are you wearing fabric that, you know, doesn't stretch? Because if it doesn't stretch and you're curvy, it's going to make you look kind of bigger than you are. It's going to make you look more boxy than you are. So like there's all these different stuff that we can think about with clothes, right? It's like, does it fit properly? Is it the right fabric? Is it a color that suits you? One of the things I had to learn about as well is like the color season stuff. So for me, since I'm muted in my coloring, I'm kind of like a neutral muted. Depending on the season, I'm either cool or warm. So I'm kind of like in the middle muted. And so my seasons are soft autumn and soft summer. And so that basically means that I only look good in muted colors. Like I do not look good in like super bright colors. Sometimes I wear that stuff anyway because I want to, but it's not my most flattering. And so what I would also recommend doing is like looking into getting yourself typed or a dark winter. Okay, amazing. So you already know that. That's perfect. So continue to work with that and dress to your strengths. Because whatever your body type is, whatever your weight is, whatever your coloring is, there's going to be ways that you can make yourself look amazing and feel amazing and dress in a way that suits your strengths. And again, even if it's like cycling between 3 outfits right now, what's wrong with that? As long as it's 3 outfits that you feel good in. You know, it's nothing wrong with your body. There's nothing wrong with how you're at now. It's like that clothing is just not the right suit. It doesn't suit you right now. That's okay. And maybe it will again one day, maybe it won't. But I think it's so important to feel good in the clothes that we're wearing and to switch up our clothes to suit where our body is at right now. And that's going to change throughout our life. Like I'm, like 140 now. And so I think I'm kind of like, now I'm in my mid 30s. I think my weight is kind of stabilized. Everything's kind of stabilized. I think I'm probably going to be here like probably forever, touch wood. But all of that stuff and like is really important to keep in mind. And the other thing too is like no one knows what the label sizes on your clothes is except for you. So whether it's a large, an extra large, whatever it is, maybe it's a 5XL. I have no idea. Like no one knows that except for you. And so you don't need to make that number or letter mean something. That is not your like valuableness, right? So like whatever that is, like throw it out the window, right? So a lot of this is like a self-worth thing. And so being able to see what you like in the mirror and feel comfortable in your clothes. I think the feeling comfortable part is really important. Being able to be cozy and comfortable and feel like you look good. That's huge for self-esteem, self-worth, all of that. And to affirm to yourself that no matter what your size is, you're worthy of looking good, feeling good. That's important. And then the flip side of all of that is, AO says, exactly, so cool. Thank you. No, of course, my pleasure. And then the flip side of that is, is part of it a health thing? And the answer might be yes, the answer might be no. Everyone's kind of different with this. But if you want to be more active, how can you incorporate that into your life and make it fun rather than coming from a place of shame? If you want to eat better, how can you make that fun rather than coming from a place of shame? So over the pandemic, I got really lazy and like ordered a ton of Uber Eats. It was kind of bad. And so I actually ended up making a vision board. I kid you not, it's still in my bedroom. This vision board full of like healthy food, of like leafy salads and like blueberries and like, I don't know, like fruits and vegetables. Literally, it's a vision board of fruits and vegetables. And so I would look at that every fucking day, this vision board of fruits and vegetables. And eventually, like, I don't even remember the last time I ordered Uber Eats. It's been like months. Like now I cook, and this has been the case for the last 2 years. Now I pretty much cook everything from scratch. Like everything I eat is pretty much 100% from scratch. And it is fun. But if I had come to it from a place of shame, like, oh, look at me, I just eat blah, 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 like whatever it would have been, coming at it from a place of shame is never really going to get you anywhere. And so coming at it from a place of fun and experimentation, and who knows, maybe your weight and your body type stays exactly the same no matter what you do. That's okay. But if you do want to attack the food thing, or if you want to attack the movement thing, like, can you go for a walk a little bit every day? Make it fun. Listen to a fun podcast. Call a friend or call your mom when you're doing it. Or listen to like your favorite playlists or something like that. Like if that is a part of your journey, can you make it fun? And I think one of the big reframes that is really crucial with this is to frame it as I get to, I'm excited to, rather than I have to or I should. Have to and should, it like sucks the fun out of everything. Everything. And so, you know, instead of saying, oh, I should work out or I should, you know, do this, I should do that, it's like, well, how about I'm excited to, I get to, I want to try this or that. And I don't know if that's part of your journey or not, but I just wanted to say it in case that is part of it for some folks who are listening. I know it's been a part of my journey. Like I did not want to go to the gym at all. But at one point I looked in, actually it wasn't I looked in the mirror. I was getting a spray tan because I got a pro bono one, I guess, because I have an Instagram or whatever. And so they were giving me a free spray tan and they wanted me to post a picture of it. And so they took a picture of me like doing this kind of from behind because obviously my boobs are out. And so no one is going to see that on Instagram. And so I remember seeing that photo and I was like horrified because my ass was like saggy and like did not look lifted, shall we say, did not look lifted. It did not look round and juicy. It looked sad. And so I saw that and I was completely mortified. And I knew something had to change. Something had to change. I was like, this is not the vibe. And so I was afraid of the gym, afraid of it. And eventually I was like, I just need to do this. And every time I went, I tried a new machine. And after a few months, I got the hang of it. And now I'm like a gym pro and I know all the stuff. And I'm like in there all the time. But it all started because I was unhappy with my saggy butt. And like, you know, now I've lost like, 30 pounds and my ass looks lifted and perfect, like the peach emoji. And I think part of it is like just being willing to do the hard thing and show up. And let me just see what you said in the chat, AO. So you're saying, yes, I'm active. My body just changed overnight, seemingly trying to come to terms with how I used to view myself in this new view that I'm not used to. Totally. And AO, I don't know how old you are, but I totally get it. Like my metabolism, I feel like changed overnight as well. Like from when I turned 30, I feel like everything changed. Like my metabolism on everything changed. Like I can really only drink like 2 drinks in a night now, like maybe 2.5 if I've eaten a lot. Like I used to be able to drink like an entire bottle of wine to myself. Like when I was in my 20s, it was like no problem. But now I'm like, okay, I have a drink and a half. And I'm like, I'm good. And yeah, gaining weight in my 30s for sure happened. And metabolism changes, everything changes. And perimenopause, I don't know a ton about that. I know a little bit. But yeah, it's totally true. Things change. And I think a part of that body change journey is there's of course the grief, but it's also the acceptance and giving yourself some grace for whatever that process is. And I wish I knew more about perimenopause to kind of say more that can be useful, but women's bodies especially do go through all of these very interesting kind of hormonal changes that are going to have different effects on our weight, our body shape, all of this different stuff, and our energy levels, like all of it. And it unfortunately is something that I feel like people don't talk about. It's like half the population is dealing with this shit. And somehow like the education on this is so non-existent. Like it's kind of wild. That it's not talked about. Like this should be common knowledge, like what that process is like and how to deal with it. And like I don't even fully know, and I'm a woman, so that's insane because it's going to come for me at some point. But I think the most important part is self-love and to give yourself grace at whatever part you are at. And I had a friend in town over the weekend and we were talking about plastic surgery and all of this stuff and like, working out and everything because she's also a workout person. And one of the things that I talked about with her and everyone else who we were kind of hanging out with was like, I feel like my body dysmorphia has been like on the side of delusion, like in a positive way. So as you guys know, I have had a few plastic surgeries, but it's like even before my surgeries, I was like delusionally positive about my appearance in like a positive way. Like I was like, I look fucking awesome. And I would really encourage everyone to kind of feel that way. I know it sounds probably crazy, but like, why not be delusionally confident about your hotness, no matter where you're at? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I feel like my positive delusion about my appearance, it really helped my confidence stay up so that whenever I got my surgeries, it was just like, obviously, like we're just aligning the outsides with what my vision in my brain. And I feel like even working out and losing 30 pounds over the course of 6 months is, kind of a similar thing. Like I didn't actually set it out my goal to lose 30 pounds. I didn't care about my weight. I didn't care that I was 170 pounds. I was like, I am delusionally sexy about what I feel that I am. And, I think it's only because, and this is maybe not true, who knows, but my feeling is that it was helpful biologically, psychologically, etc., to not give a single shit about my weight and to be 100% at peace with being 170 and to not be working out to lose weight because I wasn't. I was just working out so my ass would be lifted. And I think that I was just so unconcerned with it. Like I wasn't making that weight a stressor in my life. And so stress actually causes weight gain, right? And especially around the stomach, actually. Is weight around the stomach is a sign of stress in the body. And so I think since I was so unstressed and unbothered about my weight, ironically, I think that actually made it easier for me to lose weight because that wasn't even what I was trying to do. I still don't even really know how it happened because I wasn't trying to lose weight. I was just lifting weights at the gym. So like that was not my goal. And so I think like interestingly, the self-acceptance and the total non-judgment really of myself, despite my wanting to lift the booty, I think it really helped things, right? Because stress doesn't serve you. And I think stress around stuff like that is to some extent a choice. And so we can all choose, how do we talk to ourselves? How do we choose to talk to ourselves? And I think a lot of people talk to themselves in ways that they would never talk to someone else. Like, would you talk to your best friend the way you talk to yourself? Like, would you call your best friend like fat or whatever? Like, probably you wouldn't. Probably your best friend would be like, what the fuck? And so I think that positive self-talk and like being loving towards ourselves, I know it sounds really basic and really cheesy, but I do think that is half the battle. And I think that is like really a crucial aspect of it. And deciding to say no to being stressed about that stuff. I know it's easier said than done, but I think it's important. Yeah, it's a really good question, AO. I really appreciate you bringing this up, because I do think negative self-talk is a thing that a lot of people deal with, struggle with, have to in some way kind of work through. Like, I think it's a really common thing. You know, and you know what? It did used to be a thing for me too back when I was in my early 20s, but it has not been a problem for me for a really long time. A really long time. Like, I can't even really remember. Like, it would have been, yeah, more than a decade ago that this was an issue for me. But I think one of the things that really helped me get rid of that habit in my thinking was I framed that style of thinking as a waste of time. It did not help anything. And I realize that sounds maybe a little bit utilitarian, but I think it's important for us to take control over our thoughts rather than allowing our thoughts to control us. So we can notice our thoughts, we can, write them down, we can debunk them, we can choose to think a different thought, even if it feels like we're kind of brainwashing ourselves at first. But I think a lot of these negative thoughts, like, it doesn't serve us. Like, even when I noticed that my booty was sagging, like, I looked at that picture once and I was like, oh God. And, looked in the mirror at home and I was like, fuck. And then I just made a choice and forgot about it. And then now here I am 6 months later with a nice lifted butt. And so, I think a lot of it is just choosing to put in the work and enjoy the process, whatever that is, whether it's the mental process, the physical process, whatever that happens to be. And I know not everyone is like exercise positive or whatever, but I really do believe that exercise is nature's antidepressant. And exercise is a controlled way for our body to feel stress and then to overcome the stress. To kind of teach ourselves on a biological level that we can do hard things, that we can experience stress, whether it's mental, physical stress, and we can live through it. We can get through it. We can overcome that. And, this is going to sound cheesy, but like, I notice that myself every day at the gym as like my weight level is like increasing. Like, now I can do a 250-pound leg press. 6 months ago, I was doing 50 pounds. 6 months ago, actually, my first leg press ever was just like 10 pounds. And now I can do 250 pounds. And like, I feel like I don't even know how that happened, but somehow it did. I just like would increase it a little bit by little bit. And it's like, now my abductor machine is at like 230, which is crazy. And so it's like, if you think about the 230, if you think about the 250, if you think about where you want to be and you allow that to depress you and discourage you rather than allowing yourself to just be present in the moment and not even worry about that, but just be where you're at, enjoy the process, be present, give yourself grace, give yourself appreciation, give yourself love for showing up today exactly as you are. That's how we get to where we want to go, is by the self-love in the moment. So I realize that maybe sounds a bit cheesy, but I really do believe that. Yeah, it's important. Because I think it's important to orient our mindset into a space of gratitude, which again is a section in the book, gratitude and affirmations. That's going to be related to what you're talking about here, AO. Gratitude and affirmations. And I'm thinking I should probably write a book about like beauty and fitness and all of that, because I kind of want to write about it from a witchy perspective, since we're kind of talking about that now. But I think orienting from that place of abundance and gratitude and presence, that is going to get us where we want to go, ironically, a lot faster than if we're worried about where we're going, or if we're really overly preoccupied with our present lack. Being preoccupied with our present lack is not really a place that we want to be. We can acknowledge it, we can notice it, but being able to switch our vibration into something more abundant, positive, optimistic, growth-oriented, I think is crucial, because nothing is really fixed. And if we act as though it's fixed, then it's going to become fixed, and then we're not going to get anywhere. So it's one of those things. Like, if I had thought like, oh, my ass will always be saggy and depressing, like, then I wouldn't be where I'm at now. And part of it obviously was the physical motivation, but then the other part of it was I was at the time afraid of the gym. I was intimidated by it. I didn't really want to go. I didn't know what any of the machines were. It was confusing. It was intimidating. Everyone there is ripped. There's like no women. I was like, scared. And so part of it is facing the fear, trying something new, being not worried about looking stupid or like you don't belong, you know? And it's like that with everything in life, being able to push past that discomfort. That's important. And I think it applies to everything, whether it's the gym, whether it's eating, whether it's cooking, whether it's learning a new language, whether it's learning magic, whether it's being more in a space of gratitude, whatever it is, whether it's being grounded emotionally, mentally, spiritually, whatever it happens to be, there often is going to be that like tweaking growth process, right? Like my current growth area at the gym is like, I've never really used the Smith machines, like maybe only once. I'm like, oh, I'm kind of scared. I'm going to look kind of silly, but that's okay. And like life really is about challenging ourselves in all these different ways, learning new stuff, trying new stuff. Like if we're not doing that, if we're not always growing, we're going to be kind of decaying. We're going to be dying. We're going to be composting like prematurely. You know, I think a lot of people spiritually and mentally and physically kind of die in a sense before they actually die. And it's like life is this beautiful gift. Why not be so present, you know, and be here now and work with it. All of that to say, thank you for asking that question about stopping negative self-talk, AO. And, you know, affirmations in here. There's a chapter on that. I think that could be helpful. And then also, I would say the vision board is helpful. The vision board. A lot of these rituals. Shielding. You could shield yourself against negative self-talk too. Shifting energy, going into flow. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways. But hopefully that's helpful. I don't even know if you're still here, but hopefully you are. I don't know if anyone else has any other questions while we are here. Oh, good. I'm glad that's helpful, AO. I know I kind of like went off on a little ramble. So maybe some of that's relevant to you, maybe it's not. But I do think regardless of our physical embodiment, that self-love is so important. And like, I think one thing a lot of people get confused about is they think that if they love themselves, then it means that they don't think they can improve. And actually, I think self-love is such an important aspect of improvement, if we want to phrase it that way. It's easier to improve or to grow or to learn when we are coming from a space of inner peace and self-love and self-appreciation and giving ourselves grace and compassion from where we're at. It's a lot harder to grow if we're beating ourselves up. And it's like the outside world can be hostile enough as it is. Why are we giving ourselves, sorry, I'm like a hair in my eye. Why are we giving ourselves like that one additional thing to fight? Like, why not be our own biggest fan, our own biggest advocate, our own biggest supporter as we are trying to navigate all this stuff? And so AO for you, I'd also recommend like starting the day with some affirmations. And if it's around appearance, like I am beautiful, I am strong, I am resilient. I love my body. My body has carried me through so many things in life. I am grateful to have this body. I'm grateful to be alive. And if you struggle with affirmations, I actually do have an affirmation series available if you are interested. It's, I think, 10 recordings with 6 different affirmations around 6 different topics, one of which is the body. But you can easily like write your own. But if you're struggling, yeah, I do have those recordings. But start the day with that, like write it on your mirror, put it a sticky note on your mirror so you see it every day. Even if at first you don't believe it, at least if it's always in your line of sight, eventually it kind of will start to seem less crazy. You could even put it as a lock screen on your phone. Some positive affirmations. You could probably find that on Pinterest somewhere. Just search up like positive affirmations, body, self-love, phone wallpaper or something like that on Pinterest. I'm sure something will pop up. Like you could also use like perfume or something as like a little scent spell to help you connect with that Empress energy of yourself. This is my little one. This is Choya, who does not care about boundaries. Isn't that right? There we go. Yeah, exactly. So Ao, if you have a favorite perfume that really connects you to you, like you can like I would be curious what that one even would be and like what the botanicals or like the scent in it would be. And like that's a way that you can work with, you know, Empress energy, self-love magic. Like every time you spray it on yourself, like say the affirmations, even if it's just in your head. And I don't know about you, but like I use my perfume every day, whether or not I'm going out. I will use it on myself before bed and in the morning. And if I'm going to go out, like it's not just for other people thing. It can be something that we do for us. All right, Choya. That's my crazy demon of a cat. She's so cute, but so insane. It's a maniac. There was some time last year she actually leapt like full force out the window because there was a squirrel on the windowsill and the window was open, but there's a screen. And she, I kid you not, like saw the squirrel like sprint, ran, and then leapt like boom out the window full force. And like obviously she fell out the window. And I'm like not on the first floor, I'm on like a higher floor. And so you have this cat like bounding out the window and falling into the back from like multiple stories. And somehow she was totally fine. She did not catch a squirrel, spoiler alert, but yeah, she's kind of a maniac. Kind of crazy. But she's very lovable, despite the fact that she's unhinged. So yeah, so hopefully the perfumes thing is helpful, Ao. Because like if you do use that already, like you could layer that with the affirmations, the positive energy, you know, like that's the whole point of this book is to talk about, okay, what are these things that we're already using as a part of our daily life? Like how do we layer magic on top of that? And how do we embed magic within these things that we're kind of always already doing? You know, whether that is like skincare or choosing what your shampoo is based on the botanicals or your body wash based on what herbal properties and spiritual properties those herbs have. You know, depending on what you want to summon in your space. And Ao, I don't know if you like rose, but rose for me is like such a big self-love energy. Oh, she's purring. She's so cute. Some of her claws just came out on my pants. That's fun. Yeah. You're more of a gourmand fan. I don't even know what that means. Is that gourmand? I know that word in terms of food, but I don't really know what that means in terms of perfume. So you might be more of a perfume nerd than me in a good way. But whatever works for you, right? That's part of the whole point of what I'm talking about here. It's like, oh, there we go. Try to give you guys a close-up. Like, what do you already do in life? Whether that's perfume, whether that is makeup, whether that is just moisturizer, whether that is, you know, shampoo and conditioner. Like, how can we work with these things to do some little magic for ourselves? Yeah, that's the vibe. I don't know if anyone else has any questions or if we're just kind of just browsing. That's okay too. She is rubbing her face against the computer. So if it goes a bit Blair Witch Project, it's because the cat is headbutting the computer. As she does. She is so cute, so fluffy. cats are so crazy. Joya, what is that? What are you doing? Don't do that. She's gonna knock over the computer. All right. Well, does anyone have any other questions while we're here? Happy to help. Joya. She is just chilling. Oh, she ran away. No, she's still here, headbutting the table. Does anyone else have any thoughts, feelings, questions about any of that? I appreciate the conversation. It's always nice when some folks are here and either have some questions or comments or whatever. But I think that negative self-talk thing was so important to talk about, because I think that is such a common one for a lot of folks. And, you know, for many folks too, it's like a lifelong thing, up and down. Like as our body changes, as we go through different life experiences, like things are sometimes topsy-turvy. Like they're not going to always be, you know, at the peak experience. Like we are all going to go through ups and downs and like these various aspects of life, and that's totally normal. And knowing how to weather that and to be good even through like the trials and tribulations of life, I think is one of the reasons why magic is so important, and why these kind of daily at home practices can be so grounding and stabilizing. And this is stuff that I always come back to ground me no matter what I'm going through in my life, whether it's a breakup, whether it's family drama, whether it's a death in the family, whether it's, you know, financial stuff, whatever it is. Like this is kind of like my typical practices that have helped me survive. Oh, hello, Cheyenne. Survive through the ups and downs of life. And we're all going to go through the ups and downs of life. Like if you're at a down period right now, you're not going to be there forever. If you're experiencing like an up period, it's probably not going to be there forever either, right? It always is going to be changing. And so for me, this is like the pillar of practice that can be grounding and stabilizing kind of no matter what external stuff it is we're going through, because we do have control over what happens to ourselves in our home. That this is our safe place. This is our home as altar, as I talk about in this book. We're going to be eating, we're going to be bathing, we're going to be cleaning. All of these kind of practices are going to be what provide this nice stable base for us to survive and thrive and connect with spirit and magic and the universe, regardless of these kind of external stressors. So that's part of why I wrote this book, and also just to show folks the power of the mundane and the magic that exists already within the mundane, and to show folks how to connect with that and how to work with this energy, no matter kind of what's going on in your life. Like we all have to eat, we've all got to take a shower. And so how can we work with that magically? Because some people don't have the time or energy or knowledge to do other forms of magic. And so, you know, if you don't have time, if you don't have energy, if you're totally spent, like this is magic that everyone can do, that is accessible, that you don't have to buy anything. You know, you can, but you don't have to. This is part of my point of writing this book, to make magic for everyone and have it be really accessible, and to give everyone these tools to help support them through the ups and downs of life, which we all have to go through. All right, y'all. Any final questions, thoughts, or feelings on anything I've talked about today? If not, I might take a break. Stig is asking, you're always asking me the most random shit, Stig. When did you get those tattoos? I don't know. I started getting tattooed when I was 18. I'm 35 now. I probably haven't been tattooed in like 6 years. So you can do the math. I'm not a math person. But anyway, if that's all the questions on this, I will probably let you guys go, unless there's more questions about spiritual stuff. And if not, that is okay, because I know we are in the middle of the day for many of us. No more lemon water. All right, y'all. I think that's it for me for now. I'm going to rest my voice, but thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you, thank you. And I do hope you grab a copy of this book. I actually have it available hardcover as well. So this obviously is not the hardcover version. And if you're looking for a book that is more general magical techniques, This is a really good one. Curse and Cure, also on Amazon, but this is a book of cozy at home rituals. And I'm really excited to release it to the world. So thank you all. And I appreciate you guys. And I'll catch you guys on the flip side. I guess probably for Sunday service on Sunday. I still haven't decided what the topic is. We'll see. All right, y'all. Hope you pick up my new book, A Witch at Home. And I'll talk to you guys soon. If there's any questions you have about the book, if you're watching the replay, please feel free to put that in the comments. And if you enjoyed this live stream, please give me the little like button. If you have not subscribed yet, please do. And if you know someone that can be helped by any of the stuff we've talked about today, or maybe be helped by my new book, if you could please send this their way, I'd really appreciate it. All right, y'all. Much love. Bye.